Some new and very troubling information about Sean Hannity being outed as one of Michael Cohen's clients. Now, I was a bit tough on Sean Hannity, saying he should have disclosed that he had any type of legal conversation with Michael Cohen. Look, I don't think he was required to do it. I just think it's a matter of good policy when you're on air to do it. I always disclose my relationships with people I have, well, relationships with outside the show. Scott Eulinger, who's running for Congress. I use him as an expert because he was a naval commander and CIA station chief. But I am supporting and helping him with his congressional race in Pennsylvania, and it's important for you to know that, so that you can trust me and know that I'm coming to you ethically when I bring Scott or other people with whom I engage off the show to you as experts. You should know that I have an outside relationship with them. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change how I interview them, but it's just the right thing to do. So I think Hannity, probably knowing the magnitude of this situation and knowing that the mainstream media, the left, the Democrats, were going to seize on the tiniest thing to hammer him, probably should have disclosed it. I've been over that. But there's a new and very troubling piece of information. Now, when the judge wanted to know who the clients were, the judge could have taken Hannity's name under seal, and the judge was willing to do that, What we're finding out now, though, is that CNN and the New York Times attorney, a media lawyer who represents, among others, the CNN and the New York Times, his name is Rob Balin of the law firm Davis Wright Tremaine. This from a Conservative Review story. And after Judge Kimba Wood was willing to accept Hannity's name under seal, they didn't know the name, the third client's name, this attorney, Rob Balin, got up and successfully argued that the name should be disclosed in a public court setting. Now, Judge Wood probably should have sealed the whole proceeding. I'll explain why a little bit later. But she didn't. She instead opted to have a public hearing on the matter in her courtroom, which was her right. It's within her authority as judge. But she allowed this lawyer to successfully, well, she didn't allow, she felt this lawyer successfully argued Hannity's name. It went public. It was reported then by the New York Times and CNN without disclosure. They were supremely unethical in all this. Now, Hannity maybe should have said he and Cohen discussed legal matters to cover his own butt, to ensure that he left the mainstream media, the Democrats, know where to go. But for the New York Times and CNN, and they got Hannity's name out in seconds. Now, you remember when I reported on this, I said, wow, I wonder how the New York Times and CNN found out about it that quickly. Well, their lawyer went in to argue. There was a heads up. They were embedded in the courtroom. Now, we know they would have been embedded in the courtroom anyway, but the deck was already stacked. This is really bad, and neither the New York Times, CNN, or any other media outlet represented by this lawyer who benefited from that disclosure disclosed in their reporting that it was in fact their attorney who argued to publicly reveal Hannity's name. It wasn't the judge's own doing or the prosecutors who argued for it. The prosecutors were fine with the name being given to the court under seal. And the reason the name would be given is still a matter of legal question. Now, many legal experts, Mark Levin, Andrew McCarthy over at National Review, and many others, feel the name never should have been disclosed. But this highlights a bigger issue. The media is now sending attorneys in to do the bidding of Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, because I don't believe for a single millisecond that if it was one of Hillary Clinton's attorneys at the hearing who was the subject of a raid, that the New York Times and the Washington Post would have ever sent a lawyer in. They would have never sent a lawyer in to argue for the disclosed, publicly disclosed names of others represented by this attorney, because they knew that those names were going to be people close to Hillary Clinton. Because in this case, you know that CNN and the New York Times and their attorneys knew that the names disclosed were going to be people close to President Trump. Now, Andy McCarthy in National Review wrote a scathing piece where he essentially excoriates the judge, CNN, the New York Times, the prosecutors for going about it this way. And when you read McCarthy's piece, a former skilled, highly skilled federal prosecutor, you can't help but reinforce the belief, well, for me anyway, that this investigation is unethical, biased, and designed only to embarrass and subsequently impeach Donald Trump. And I'm going to be telling you all about McCarthy's article, reading you excerpts from it on my longer show, Off the Cuff Declassified, today, right here on The Rebel. This entire matter surrounding the President Michael Cohen is getting more troubling by the day, and I want to bring you every detail. So help me do that by subscribing to our premium service at www.therebel.media/shows. Go to the App Store, download the Great Rebel app. Great way to get all of our content. And we're still hot on having Florida Governor Rick Scott remove Sheriff Scott Israel. So go to firescottisrael.com and sign our petition. As always, thank you so much for watching. You have a great weekend. I'll be back with you on Monday.